Uh, but I wanted to touch today on 454 and what it means to you. So I had to kick off with 454 is the new Freon. So I would say a number of us in the industry can remember we had R22 that stopped shipping around 2010-ish. Uh, and that was depleting the ozone layer. So we came up with the 410A, which was better for the ozone layer, but it adds to the greenhouse warming effect. So that's where we're transitioning to the new 454 Freon, which has a lower greenhouse effect and will help slow down or help prevent global warming. I would say back in 2020, there was the American Innovation Act, or the AIM Act, was brought in, and that gave the EPA the ability to phase out 410A. I would say with the plan to have it 85% of it phased out by 2035. So in terms of the installation, there'll be no more installations of new equipment with the 410A Freon. It will all be the 454 Freon. Most of the transition, though, will happen during 2025. So 454 Freon. So this is a new class of Freon that's been built out. 410A, I would say, is inflammable. I would say 454 is mildly flammable. So that's where the designation A2L comes up with, and it's only flammable in a small window between 11% and 25% roughly. So that means it needs to be contained. If it's less than that, it won't ignite. If it's above that, it will ignite. So I know that sounds frightening, but any of you that have had a car that's been manufactured since around, I would say, in the last 10 years, already has some of the 454 components. A number of your appliances have similar freons in them, maybe even a bit more flammable. Also, it's been introduced, it's been in use in Australia for quite some time, also in Europe and also over in Asia. So the US is one of the last countries to adopt and move on to this equipment. So in terms of the flammability, it's only mildly flammable in that precise concentration. Which leads me in to talk about the equipment. So currently, equipment is probably in the final stages of being redesigned. Early manufacturing is getting underway to accept that 454 Freon. Some of the slight changes or differences: one, it's going to use less Freon than a comparable 410A by a small amount. One is just to, I would say, try and mitigate that flammability and help with the efficiency. Also, there's going to be some mitigation devices built in. So with 410A not being flammable, those aren't required. But with the 410A and that mild flammability, there has to be refrigeration detection devices. So if it senses anything above, I believe it's 5 to 10%, it will shut off the system, put the fan mode on. Also, it will trip what we call a mitigation board to eliminate anything that could cause a spark in the system, just to make sure that there's no cause of a fire. Also, some of the mid-range equipment is getting redesigned. So currently, anybody that's familiar with the two-stage, which is a mid-range of equipment, there's going to be more inverters, which are currently available in the high-end equipment. That's going to be moving downstream and taking over some of that two-stage technology, which is currently there. So I would say equipment will be steadily changing and changing. So on the installation side, I would say there's going to be quite a few additional steps that our team is going to go through to install that. One, we need to make sure if we're using 410A that we get the Freon lines cleaned so it's not there. Also, there's a number of new tools that are required to work with this 454. Some of the threads are different, so the team are going to need new hoses, new connections to work with that. That's we'll say mistake proofing mechanism to we'll say try and prevent the mix up of the different freons into the system. So that's where the threads are changing around. Also, anything that can create a spark. So there's a lot of new tools. So for my team, that's leak detectors, refrigerant recovery machines, vacuum pumps, any of that equipment that gets close to the freon. We got to take away that spark. In addition to that, then we got to, we'll say, make sure that the environment inside that freon is inert, so it's purging it with freon, just going through additional safety steps there. In terms of 454, so anybody that needs a new system this year, we say, doesn't have a lot of choice. That new freon, the new equipment's not available yet. So you're going to be pretty much forced to replace that with the 410A. The OEMs will have parts available through the lifetime of their warranty and probably beyond. We can still get parts for R22 for the majority of those. They're only starting to get phased out now, and that's 15 plus years later. If you can wait, and you've got that choice. The downside there is initial indication is we're looking at a 15 to 20% ballpark price increase over the equipment today. It's, I would say, there's still a lot of unknowns, but that's our best guess on what we're figuring out at the moment. I would say the downside, if you get a 410A system, is if you have a Freon leak and require Freon in the future, it's going to be more expensive as it's getting phased out. It will be more expensive just because there's less of it and there's not a ready supply. So if you've any other questions, I would say our team is here and ready to help out. So hopefully this gives you an overview and gives you a direction on what 454 is and what it means to you. Thanks. All the best. Bye.